Hi guys, today we're talking about proportions, and we want to remember that proportions are pairs of ratios when we write them as fractions that are equivalent. So let's look at our first example. I have 2 over 4 as a ratio, and I'm saying that is equivalent to some unknown number over 16. Well, the first way that we can determine if uh, a proportion has ratios that are equivalent are by testing the relationship. So I want to know, how can I get from 4 to 16? Well, I know that I can multiply times 4. So that means I want to do the same thing to this top number right here and multiply by 4. Because what I did to the bottom set, I have to do to the top. So that means that x would equal 8. And how can I prove that? Well, there are two ways. I know that I can use repetitive addition or I can cross multiply and divide. So this is saying I'm adding 2 and 4 to the top and the bottom 4 times. So if I have 2 over 4, I'm going to add 4, add 2. Well, that tells me I have 4 over 8. Well, I have to do the same thing again. I add 4, I add 2. And that gives me 6 over 12. If I do the same thing again, add 4, add 2, that gives me 8 over 16. Boom. I know my ratios are equivalent. All right, so let's look at our next example. I have 5 over 6, 5 over 30 equals 6 over x. Well, I'm not quite sure of how to get from 5 to 6 by multiplying by a whole number. So I'm going to use another method called cross multiplication, or you also may know it as the butterfly method. So I'm going to multiply on the diagonal, and now I want to set up my multiplication sentence. So now I have 5 times x, and that's equal to 6 times 30. X is just the unknown number we're trying to find that will finish out our proportion. So now I want to multiply what I do know, and that is 6 times 30. And I'm going to do my math over here. So if I put 30 on top times 6, 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 3 is 18. So that gives me 180. So I have 5 times x is equal to 180. Well, after I cross multiply, I want to divide. Again, you first cross multiply, then divide. After you cross multiply, you divide. The first thing you do is cross multiply. After you do that, you divide. So I'm going to divide to get that unknown by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Well, 5 divided by 5, that goes away and that just becomes x. Now I need to do 180 divided by 5. And I'm going to do my scratch work on the side. Well, how many groups of 5 are in 18? 5, 10, 15. There are 3 whole groups. 3 times 5 is 15. I subtract and get 3 and bring down the 0. So I found out how many whole groups. I multiplied 3 times 5 to get 15. I subtracted, got 3, and brought down my 0. Well, how many whole groups of 5 are in 30? That's 6. I'm going to multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract and get 0. I'm done. So that lets me know that x equals 36. So that means that my proportion up here, x equals 36. And I can always check my work. And I can check my work by simply cross multiplying. And if they have the same cross product, then they're equivalent. So I'm going to plug back in my x, and I'm going to do 5 times 36. And I want to know if that's equal to 6 times 30. Well, I already did it up here. 6 times 30 is 180. 5 times 36, I'm going to do it quickly on the side here. 5 times 6 is 0, carry the 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 gives me 180. Boom. I know that 180 is equal to 180. So I know, in fact, that x equals 36 is correct.